Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing fine. I am back with my new YouTube video that is based on the general principles of language learning, which is the topic of the subject reading and reflecting on the text. So let us understand first the meaning of language. What is language? In normal words, we can say that language is something that enables us to transfer our views, our ideas, our thoughts to somebody else. It enables us to share our thoughts with others. So, what is language? In bookish term, we can say that the method of human communication, either spoken or written, consisting of the use of words in a structured or conventional way. So we can say that when humans communicate with the help of speech or written symbols, that is called language. Why we have mentioned the word human only? Animals also use their own kind of language, but the main thing that differentiates between the humans and the animals is that we humans are blessed with the special kind of language. We use our own vocabulary. We have the power to speak words and sentences. And we use that language in structured and conventional way. So that is the language. Language is the system of communication, a medium for thought and a social interaction. So we can say that language is a system of communication. This is a medium through which we can share our thoughts, our views, and this is also the main medium of interaction in a society. Now we have some definitions of language. According to Sepper, a purely human and non-instinctive method by communicating ideas, emotions, and desires by means of voluntarily produced symbols. Here what Sepper is trying to say that language is purely human. As we have discussed in our previous slide, that language is purely human and it is also non-instinctive. This does not come naturally to humans. We have to make efforts to learn any language, whether it's our mother tongue or any foreign language, to communicate our ideas, our emotions and desires, and it is also a voluntarily expression of creating symbols and sounds. According to Boloch and Traeger, a system of arbitrary vocal symbols by means of which a social group cooperates. That here language is the symbols, is the collection of those vocal symbols that is used by a social group to interact. According to Hall, the institution whereby humans communicate and interact with each other by means of habitually used oral auditory arbitrary symbols. In this definition, what Hall is trying to communicate that language is that thing which is something comes with our habits, and it also has the oral and auditory arbitrary symbols that includes your ear and tongue. In our next definition, according to Chomsky, a set, finite or infinite, of sentences, each finite in length and constructed out of a finite set of elements. That what is language? Language is a set of sentences, and that sentences can be varied in length. They can have finite or infinite numbers or words, and each finite in length and constructed out of finite set of elements is called a proper language. The commonly accepted definition is that Language is a system of arbitrary vocal symbols used for humans' communication. So, we are using the word arbitrary again and again. Arbitrary means that doesn't seems to be based on any research. It means whatever we are calling a word, that is only given by humans, that does not have any meaning from the ancient times. So, let us further discuss the features of language. Language is the basis of our daily life. We use language in our every work. So, the first feature of the language is that language is arbitrary. Language is arbitrary in the sense that there is no inherent relation between the words of the language and their meanings or the ideas conveyed by them. There is no reason why a female adult human being be called a woman in English, aurat in Urdu, zen in Persian, and femme in French. The choice of a word selected to mean a particular thing or idea is purely arbitrary. But once a word is selected for a particular referent, it comes to stay as such. It may be noted that had language not been arbitrary, there would have been only one language in the world. So, language is arbitrary. It means that we are calling a word, for example, table, chair, sun, moon. Why? Because we have given it a name. We humans have labeled the objects. That's why they have words to their names. There is no kind of relationship between the words and their meanings. If we do not label the things, there will be a general language in all the world. So, language is arbitrary. Next is language is social. Of course, language is social. Language is a set of conventional communicative signals used by humans for communication in a community. Language, in this sense, is a possession of a social group, comprising an indispensable set of rules which permits its members to relate to each other, to interact with each other, to cooperate with each other. It is a social institution. Language exists in society. It is a means of nourishing and developing culture and establishing human relations. So, we are living in a society. We have to deal successfully in a society. For that, we daily need to communicate with each other. So, we follow certain rules to communicate our ideas, to communicate our views to others. That's why it is said that language is social. By living in society, we are nourishing ourselves as well as we are nourishing our language as well. Language is symbolic. Language consists of various sound symbols and their graphological counterparts that are employed to denote some objects, occurrences, or meaning. These symbols are arbitrary, chosen, and conventionally accepted and employed. Words in a language are not mere signs or figures, but symbols of meaning. The intelligibility of a language depends on a correct interpretation of these symbols. So, language is symbolic, that is made up of various sound symbols. And those sound symbols are also arbitrary, and that can be presented graphically on a paper. Language is systematic. It means it follows a certain set of rules. It is a system in itself. Although language is symbolic, yet its symbols are arranged in a particular system. All language have this system of arrangements. Every language is a system of systems. All language have phonological and grammatical systems, and within a system there are several subsystems. For example, within the grammatical system we have morphological and syntactic system, and within these two subsystems we have systems such as those of plural, of mood, of aspect, of tense, etc. So we can say that language is a systematic. Language is a greater system which is made up of so many systems. Language is made up of grammar, language is made up of several subsystems. And in the system of grammar, there are also various subsystems. We can say that nouns, pronouns, they are also systems in themselves. So, language is the broader term of those all. That's why we are saying that language is systematic. It is a system of systems. Language is vocal. Language is primarily made up of vocal sounds only produced by physiological articulatory mechanism in the human body. In the beginning, it appeared as vocal sounds only. Writing came much later as an intelligent attempt to represent vocal sounds. Writing is only the graphic representation of the sounds of the language. So, the linguists say that speech is primary. This is the definition according to Ferdinand de Saussure. Language is non-instinctive, conventional. Non-instinctive something is that is not conditioned, something that does not comes naturally, and it is conventionally. Conventional means the language is generally done or believed. That way is said to be conventional. No language was created in a day out of mutually agreed upon formula by a group of humans. Language is the outcome of evolution and convention. Each generation transmits this convention on to the next. Like all human institutions, language also change and die, grow and expand. Every language, then, is a convention in its community. It is non-instinctive because it is acquired by the human beings. Nobody gets a language in heritage. He acquires it because he has an innate ability. So, non-instinctive means humans have to make purposeful efforts to know the knowledge of the grammar, to speak the words, to speak the speech sounds. We have to make efforts. We does not acquire it from our ancestors naturally. It does not comes naturally. It is not like any innate ability that comes with our birth. We have to make efforts, right? So, language is productive and creative. Language has creativity and productivity. The structural elements of human language can be combined to produce new utterances, which neither the speaker nor hearer may ever have made or heard before. Listener, yet which both sides understand without difficulty. Language changes according to the needs of the society. As the time is changing gradually, language is also changing by the time. With our own For our own benefit and for our own convenience, we change the language. We are making additions to the dictionary every now and then for our own suitability. So that's why language is productive and it is creative. Now let us understand the general principles of language learning. What are those points that are the basis of any language? With the help of those, we establish a firm basis of language. First is give priority to the sounds. Whenever you are learning any kind of language or teaching any language, make sure that you learn or teach the sounds first. The sounds of English should receive priority. Sounds should be given their due place in the scheme of teaching. Sounds should not be presented in isolation. They should appear in proper expression and sentences, spoken with the intonation and the rhythm which would be used by the native speaker. Do not ignore the part of expression while you are learning English, and use the sounds while you are reading anything. That will only make a basis and make a good foundation of the language in you. Next is present language in basic sentence patterns. Present and have the students memorize basic sentence patterns used in a day-to-day conversation. From small utterances, the students can easily pass on to the longer sentences. In case of learning mother tongue, the student's memory span can retain much longer sentences than those of a foreign language. The facility thus gained in a foreign language enables the learners expand the grasp of the language material in respect of sounds and vocabulary items. This means if you are teaching language to your students, tell them to make a habit, to make it a daily habit to converse in English. They can start from the very few sentences. First, they can use few phrases while communicating with their friends, and gradually they'll start pronouncing long sentences with easiness. The third principle is language patterns as habits. Real language ability is at the habit level. It does not just mean knowing about the language. Make language patterns as habit through intensive pattern practice in variety of situations. The students must be taught to use language patterns and sentence constructions with appropriate vocabulary at normal speed for communication. In fact, the habitual use of the most frequently used patterns and items of language should take precedence over the mere accumulation of the words. Make it a habit if you want to learn language. Use English language whenever you can use. The process of gradually increasing the amount will bases a firm foundation. The next principle is imitation. Imitation is an important principle of language learning. No learner by himself ever invented language. Good speech is the result of imitating good models. The model should be intelligible. Imitation followed by intensive practice helps in the mastery of the language system. When students are in their primary years of school, they always try to copy the teacher. They try the one who is the best speaker. So that's why language is always learned by copying others. So the model must have always the best knowledge of the language. The next principle is of controlled vocabulary. Controlled vocabulary is a way to organize knowledge. Vocabulary should be kept under control. Vocabulary should be taught and practiced only in the context of real situation. This way, meaning will be clarified and reinforced. Principle of selection and gradation. Selection of the language material to be taught is the first requisite of the good teaching. Selection should be done in respect of grammatical items and vocabulary and structure. This is the main principle, that how you select and how you present the material to your students. Selection can be on many points. For example, the items must be involved in frequency, that how often a certain item or a word is used, range, in what different contexts a word or an item can be used, coverage, how many different meanings a word or an item can convey, availability, how far an item is convenient to teach, learnability, how far an item is easy to learn, teachability, how far an item is easy to teach in a social context. So, whenever you are selecting and grading your points to the students, you must include all these points on the basis of your language. So, gradation of language material also can have these points. For example, phonetic grouping. Whenever you are teaching language, you must use those words that are bases that can also be taught on the basis of sounds. For example, words having the same sounds are placed in one groups as cat, bat, mat, pat, it, bit, fit, etc. All these words are made up of similar sounds, so that can be teach or learn easily. The next is lexical grouping. Grouping according to lexical situations. For example, all the words that belongs to a simple word, a same category. For example, school, teacher, headmaster, peon, classroom. All these words are grouped around the word school. Next is grammatical grouping. Grouping according to similar patterns as my book, his book, pattern grouping, in the room, in the corner, in the class, and these are phrase grouping. So, while teaching grammar, you must always focus on these things. Semantic grouping, that is, grouping according to meaning. For example, school, college, university, bicycle, rickshaw, tonga, aeroplane. You must always clarify the word and the meaning side by side. Next is structure grouping. That is, grouping in the structures means how the selected items fit one into the other, the sounds into the words into phrases, the phrases into the clauses and sentences, and the sentences into the context. The next is principle of the oral way. Experts believe that the oral way is the surest way to language learning. According to Professor Kitson, rightly observed, learning to speak a language is always the shortest road to learning to read and write it. Professor Palmer also writes, we should refrain from reading and writing any given material until we have learned to use it as spoken form. So, speech is that thing of the language which is mainly focused, which is mainly to teach to the learners. Next principle is of language habit through language using. A language is best learned through use in different contexts and situations. Professor Eugene Onida rightly observes, language learning means plunging headlong into a series of completely different experiences. It means exposing oneself to a situation where the use of language is required. Another expert expresses a similar opinion by saying, learning a language means forming new habits through intensive practice in hearing and speaking. The emphasis should always be on language in actual use. The more you will expose yourself to the parts of language, the more you will be likely to learn. Spiral approach. The spiral approach to language learning should be followed. Previously taught vocabulary and structure should be reintroduced in subsequent units whenever logical or possible. This is spiral approach. So, according to this principle, we can say that once you have taught any topic, it doesn't mean that learners have understand it in full context. If you have done nouns in a week and you are doing the textbook on the next week, then from that textbook you can also tell them to underline the types of nouns. In a way, you are also applying the spiral approach. The next is use mother tongue sparingly. The mother tongue should be sparingly and judiciously used during teaching English, of course, at the early stage. Some explanations will have to be given in pupils' mother tongue. It is important that students do not use their mother tongue in the classroom. Mother tongue should not be ignored. You can use mother tongue for explaining some complex topics. That's why students can relate the patterns of both the language, and learning the foreign language will be easier for them if you relate it with the mother tongue. So, thank you for giving your time. I hope the concept of language, features and general principles you have understood all. Thank you so much.